Welcome to eWay Podcasts, podcasts from the world of CRM, business, and entrepreneurship. Today's episode is called How to Create Functioning Advertisement, Written Brief. This podcast is a continuation of How to Create Functioning Advertisement for My Company and How to Create Functioning Advertisement for My Company, Key Message. In the previous episodes, we focused on thinking about our advertisement. Now the time has come to write everything down clearly. Not only for ourselves, but also the professional who will be in charge of creating the advertisement. Take some time to listen to this podcast and reflect on it. It will pay off. In our last two podcasts, we talked about all the things we need to think through before handing over our request to the advertising professional. We talked about target groups, communication channels, and the subject of the message itself. We have already figured all these things out, and now is the time to put pen to paper, to put together a clear brief and set out what we want and when we want it. A brief is best when written. Why? Because it allows us to see the individual points in black and white. Only then can we be absolutely sure that we really know what we want to say, who we want to speak to, and who we need to persuade. Let's do this. First, let's put all the things we need to do in order. All in all, there are 6. First, the goal of our communication. Let's answer the question, why are we advertising in the first place? What is it we want to accomplish? To change or confirm the perception of our company? To persuade the customers to try or buy our service? Or do we want to increase participation in a company charity event? It can be anything. Second, who do we want to influence? In this point, we need to think about our target group. Who are the people we are talking to? What do we know about them? Do they know about our product or not? How do they use it? The deeper you go, the better. Third, competition. When creating an advertisement, we can't forget our competitors. Who are they? How do they compete with us? What are their signature characteristics? Try to answer this precisely, but briefly. Fourth, key message. This is where we get back to our previous podcast. What is it we want to tell people? What emotion do we want them to feel? What action do we want them to make? Our key message must be crystal clear. Fifth, why we can make the claims that we make. Here is the space for defending the key message. Is the thing we claim true? Let's only say the things we can stand behind or prove. Only then can our advertisement be effective. Sixth, what else? Don't forget the other elements that your advertisement needs. Sometimes you need to simply show the customer the way to shop via a phone number or a website link. You also need to include as much information about the company communication style as possible. Only then can the new advertisement fit in with the overall company concept. In this 6th and last point, you can write down anything else that your advertisement needs. And we are finished. We have successfully answered all 6 points. When we put these points in the right order, we can see whether we have forgotten anything. And most importantly, we can see whether the brief makes sense as a whole. That is why you now need to look at what you've written. Does it say what you want it to say? Give this written brief to somebody else to read, to someone who hasn't been part of the process and who can look with fresh eyes. Do they understand what you're trying to say and how? Or is your brief outline missing something? You may get priceless feedback right from the start. Make your brief perfect based on the feedback. Are you happy with it? Great! Now it's time to set the deadlines. Throughout the creative process, we recognize 9 milestones. These are the most important steps in the process, and therefore, it is crucial to assign a clear due date to each of them. Let's do this. First, a brief. Give yourself a deadline for you to assign the advertisement to a professional. Second, a debrief. Give the expert a due date to comment on your brief. In this period of time, they may ask you additional questions in order to fully understand what you want. Third, presenting the basic direction. This is the date when your expert will present several options for your communication. It may be a draft, a scenario, or a description of an idea. This presentation represents a crossroads with various directions that your idea might take. Fourth, selection. Until this deadline, you will have selected one of the directions offered. You have to decide which way to go and which of the ideas is closest to your original assignment. Don't forget to add your comments and suggestions. Fifth, final proposal. The day when the experts will have sent you the finished proposal for your approval. Sixth, approval. Decide how much time you need for approving the final proposal. This is the last moment for corrections. Seventh, realization. The period during which the professional brings the final proposal to life. This means finishing and realizing the project. If it's a poster, it can mean printing it. If it's an advertisement, then it can be filming it. Eighth, submitting the materials. This is the latest possible date when you will get the finished products back. Ninth, on air. D-Day. This is the date when your target group sees your advertisement for the first time. Take your time to think about it and give each of the 9 points a due date. It's not that complicated. Just don't forget things like that the realization will take longer than studying the brief. Remember that the last deadline, on air, is usually linked to media too. Therefore, you need to coordinate with them as well. And you have a written brief with deadlines too. We recommend going through it with a professional that will be in charge of the proposal. It's better if they tell you right in the beginning how they feel about the due dates and the amount of time they will have for each step. And when you have agreed on something, send it to them by email. Then you can be sure that both of you have the whole process written down in black and white. You may want to know what is the best way to evaluate the proposals that will be presented to you during the process. Our answer is easy. Always ask yourself whether these comply with your original brief. It makes sense to stick to it. Only this way will you be able to create an advertisement that will have the desired effect. And don't be afraid. With each and every assignment, you will get better and faster in carrying out briefs, and your communication will get more and more efficient. We wish you success with your advertisement. You've been listening to an eWay podcast. The article was written by Otakar Svoboda, spoken by Cliff Koma. For more inspirational audio records, please visit our blog on blog.eway-crm.com, podcast section.